Hey, it's Mark Coleman from Paul's Photo and the Creative Photo Academy, and I just wanted to give you guys a little bonus video tonight. I took a cool picture, a cool still life, and many people ask me, so Mark, what do you do with the pictures and how do you deal with them? So here I've got my memory card in a card reader. You can see on the desktop, it says Nikon Z7, that's the camera I used. So I'm with a Mac. With a Mac, I'm going to use Finder. With a PC, you would use Windows Explorer. I'm going to go to Finder, and the first thing I'm going to do is on the desktop, File, New Folder, and I'm going to call this new folder Kitchen Still Life, because that's the picture that I took. So now I'm going to go to the folder with the pictures on it, and I'm going to find the pictures I took tonight. So today, oh, there's only 5 of them. That's awesome. Boom. I'm going to copy those pictures. Copy 4 items. And I'm going to paste them. Control V, paste them. Oops, they went onto the desktop, but that's okay. Just drag them into the folder that says Kitchen Still Life. There we go. Now I close this window. Command E ejects the memory card, which is an important step. And now I'm going to open a program called Adobe Bridge. And in Bridge, I'm going to go to that folder that I just created, Kitchen Still Life, and I'm going to look at the pictures. Now, can you see them? There they are. And you see how Bridge brings them in? And I'm going to look at these pictures and decide which one that I want to process. So this looks to be the right one. Here in Bridge, I can use the magnifying glass tool and come in and see if I got it in focus. So you can see it's come in. Yep, ISO 6400. It's a little bit grainy, but that's okay. So that's the one I like. So what I'm going to do, and I know this is hard for some of you, delete the other. I'm going to just delete the other 3 pictures. So you know what I have left? I just have the one. You know, I'm editing my pictures from Africa right now, where I shot probably 25,000 photos. I'm down to about 600 photos right now from Africa, and that'll be down to 150 or 200 before long. So now I've got this picture, and I'm in Adobe Bridge. I double click on it, and now it opens in Adobe Camera Raw. So I'm a Photoshop guy, so I use Photoshop and Bridge. If you were a Lightroom person, you could do that as well. And in Lightroom, you would use the library module to open up and then move to the develop module. So here I am in Adobe Camera Raw. I can change the color temperature, right? The white balance, tungsten, because I was using tungsten light to shoot this picture. The exposure, I look at the histogram. I could use just a teeny bit more exposure, so I bring that up. And then I'm going to go ahead and open the image. Now, here I come into Photoshop, and this is where I would use a tool like the, cropping tool. But one of the things I stress with my students, and if you're new to photography with me, I crop in the camera. I'm very careful with the camera to make sure that I get the image exactly the way I want in the camera. So here in Photoshop, I'm happy with the cropping. There's nothing I want to change. I don't really want to do any editing here in Photoshop. So I'm going to leave the Photoshop environment and take you someplace new and exciting. And that's in the world of Nix software. So this is Nix software version 2. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use program Define, because I shot this image at 6400 ISO in the house. So that means it's going to have some grain. So what Nix Define does is it's a grain reducing program. It's going to take the noise away. And it's a pretty cool function. So here you can see it's analyzing the photo, and it's given me an image with a lot less grain. So I just ask it to, okay, take the grain away. One of the cool things about Nix software, it's non-destructive editing because it does it in layers. So now I have 2 layers in Photoshop the original photo, and overlying that I have this reduced grain image from Nick. Now, like I told you when I was shooting this photo, I want to make this a black and white. So here with Nick, I'm going to close some of the windows or reduce some of the windows here and take you to my absolute favorite Nick piece of Nick software, and that's Nick Silver Effects Pro. And in Nick Silver Effects Pro, that's where I convert this image into black and white. So I always shoot in color, then I use a program like Nick software to make this black and white. So the first step I'll use here is no filter. Check this image with the red filter, an orange filter, a yellow filter, a green filter, and a blue filter. I like the look of the yellow filter the best. That seems to gives me the effect that I wanted when I shot this image. So I like the way that the oranges come out, the apples have this nice texture. I can see all the texture in the fruit. I'm actually going to go back and look at this with no filter. No, I don't like that. So the bowl becomes too bright and the fruit becomes too dark. So I'm going to go with the yellow filter, see how it brightens. And now, when you look at this image, there's two things that I see with my eye compositionally. First is this line, which is I put in the picture on purpose, and almost a mirror of that line created by the fruit. And that's how when I saw the image in the kitchen before I shot the picture, this is what I wanted to do. So one of the great things that Nick software allows me to do is use control points where I can adjust the size and just selectively darken slightly parts of the image. So I made a control point here. I'm going to grab another control point and do a similar function back here. And by doing this, you can see that I've darkened the background slightly. So your eye comes right to this, to the orange in the foreground here. I really like that effect, and I like what happens with it. Now, this is a secret tool. You can't use this unless you pay me 50 cents. So I'm going to use a control point with Nick, put it right down here on the orange, and then I'm going to use what's called structure. And structure brings up what's called micro contrast. Now I'm going to copy that control point and move it all around my main orange here. And I'm going to do that again for the apple here in the background to bring up some structure in the apple. And just see how it changes it just a titch. It's a very soft filter in what it does, but it makes a landmark decision. It makes a landmark change in how the picture behaves. So I'm almost done with this image now. You can see I haven't spent that much time. If I was working on this image alone, I would have spent about maybe 45, 60 seconds, maybe 90 seconds on it. You know, with you, we've been a couple, 3 minutes now discussing. So that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to hit OK. And what's happening is I'm saving my changes. And then we come back here to Photoshop. I'm going to hide Nick software. Come on. There we go. And I am going to Windows, Layers. So you can see here with Nick software, I have the background layer. I have the layer with the grain reduction defined, and I have the Silver Effects Pro layer. And I can at any time turn any of those layers on and off. And that's what makes it non-destructive editing. So I'm going to hide the layers window. This gives me the window that I want. And if I wanted to crop, I could crop now. I'm not going to crop. I really like the way this image looks and feels, the composition I made. So I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, Levels to adjust the lightness and darkness to get this image ready to print. So by adjusting the levels, I once again have the histogram. I can go and change the whites, the blacks, and the midtones. So what I'm doing here, I'm going to put this over here out of the way so I can see the image. You can also do it by numbers here. So I returned everything to 0. And I'm going to just bring the white in just a titch and darken the image slightly. Look at that. I mean, so now see how you get this nice pattern in the middle. Hit OK. And at this point, I'll file Save As. and I'm going to save this as a PSD file, which is the full resolution Photoshop file with all the layers embedded in it. And this is just going to be a ginormous file because I've got 3 layers that was shot on the Z7, so the files are 75 megabytes. So this file is going to be 200 megabytes. It's big. But I'm going to save this because this is my, so the raw file is the digital negative. The PSD file is my working copy. Now I also have to go here to layers, flatten the image so that I've taken all those layers and compressed them so it's one image. And now I can't get to those other pieces anymore. File, save as, and I'm going to save this not as a Photoshop file, but as a JPEG file. Why do I save it as a JPEG file? So that I can use it. I'm going to share this with my class tomorrow morning. I'm going to put it on Facebook here and Instagram in a minute. And that's how we do it. So I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial. I'm going to save that image. Hit OK. And that's how I edit an image. Short and sweet. I hope you enjoyed it. So come with us at Paul's Photo and Creative Photo Academy. Share these magic moments. Remember to be creative, post your pictures, share your pictures, and remember the hashtags Paul's Photo, Creative Photo Academy, and we're all together. And this is how creatively we're going to survive, and we're going to thrive, and we're going to have fun, and we're going to let photography lead the way from darkness to light.